Hey gang, Sally here. Welcome back to my tiny RV kitchen. And because the slide it in is even more tiny than usual. So I'm on my way back from my 4 days off. This is my last day off. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm about 3 miles away from Lewis Lake. And all afternoon I've been thinking, what am I going to have for dinner? And because of the power situation there, I didn't want to, do anything that was going to be power intensive. So I decided to pull over off the side of the road, found a little pull out, and I am about to make cod curry in the Instant Pot. Why did I stop to do it here? Because while the Instant Pot's running, I'm going to run the generator at the same time, keep my batteries topped up. So let's run the intro. And thank you all for being here. Thank my channel members. And if you want to consider becoming one, you can do that for as little as 99 cents a month if you want to help support the channel. Or if you want to do a one-time thing, you can buy me a cup of coffee. There's a link in the description down below. As always, thank you so much for being here. Here's the intro. We're going to get on the other side, and then we'll show you what's going on.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for goodbyes. Journey calls, let's roll the dice. Every mile a new surprise.
I have got a counter full of ingredients here. This is going to take a few minutes. I'm going to show you what we got going on to begin with. So here's the star of the show. That's wild-caught Pacific cod that was caught by a friend of mine. That is ground ginger. That's probably a little more than I need, but I might end up using it all anyway. And then we've got, for vegetables, we've got onion. And part of the reason I decided to do this is I found this baby bok choy in West Yellowstone yesterday, and I want to put that in. I'm going to do some celery, carrots, onion, and green onion for toppers. And then for the seasoning mix, we'll have turmeric, curry powder, a little ground mustard, salt and pepper, garlic powder, and cumin. And then additional vegetables will be diced tomatoes, and I'll probably throw some tomato paste in. I'm not sure yet. So basically the way this is going to work is everything except the cod and the bok choy are going to go in at the beginning. And that's going to cook together for about 10 minutes. And then we're going to release the pressure, add the cod, which is still frozen, and then cook it again under pressure for about 5 minutes. And along with the bok choy, we'll put that in at the same time. And that should give us a really delicious cod curry. And the thing that made me think of this to begin with was when we were in Spearfish, which I think is South Dakota, we went to the DC booth, Fish Hatchery, I think, and there was a recipe displayed on the wall for fish curry, which I don't think I'd ever had. So we're going to see how this goes. I might throw a couple potatoes in there too, because I got a couple potatoes as well. So we'll see. You never know how things are going to turn out with me. But I got to clear off my whole counter so I can get my vegetables chopped up. Let me get started on that. Okay, I'm going to just go through this as I'm doing it. So already I've got about a teaspoon and a half to 2 teaspoons of cumin, and about a tablespoon of garlic powder, a scant teaspoon of ground mustard, and I'm going to go about a tablespoon and a half or so, probably more, of curry. Yeah, I think I'm going to go 2 tablespoons, if I can get it out of the jar. About 2 tablespoons of curry, and ideally, I would be making a rub of turmeric, ground mustard, and putting that on the fish, but because the fish is frozen, that's not going to work. So we're just going to add our turmeric. About a teaspoon here, I think. Yeah, about a teaspoon. And, oops, get it off the edge of the jar. A little teaspoon, a little bit more. How about that? And we'll close that up. And I'm showing you this part first because then I can get all the spices out of the way. About a good teaspoon of salt. And some pepper. I'll tell you what I think it is. Yes, this is an electric pepper grinder. Runs on batteries, not USB rechargeable, unfortunately. Okay, that's about 2/3 of a teaspoon, I'd say, of black pepper. And then there's a couple of things I forgot to share with you. So there's an idea of what that looks like. We'll mix that all together. But we're also going to add hatch green chilies and lime juice, because the recipe that I'm basing this off of calls for tamarind paste, which is kind of sweet and spicy, which I don't have. So we're going to do it this way. I think it'll be good. We're going to find out. All right, so let me get the spices out of the way, and then I'll start cutting up the vegetables, and then we'll go from there. All right, we got the Instant Pot set on saute. It's heating up. I added about a tablespoon and a half of butter and about a tablespoon and a half of extra virgin olive oil. Couple of things about this from my perspective that I'm thinking about in terms of my flavor profiles and so forth. And of course, as happens so often, I started with a recipe idea and then of course I modify it to suit myself. So we're going to go ahead and throw our onions in. I sliced them and then cut my slices in half. And that's the size that I like because it makes it convenient for being able to get a fork full. I think the quantity of onions will be really good with the fish. The only thing that I'm not sure about here, and I am going to have to do a little research, is how this will freeze. Because I don't think I can possibly eat this quantity all at once. It's going to be a pretty big quantity, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to let the onions stir in there. And while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some more vegetables. Now, I'm using the celery in part because I really like cooked celery, and in part because I want to get it used up without having to throw it away. So there's that. So let's get some celery cooking. Where's my celery? Cutting. And this is not a great bunch of celery. And it's funny, I got rid of all my trash at Yellowstone, but now I'm going to have another whole bag to get rid of before I go back to my site, I think. Alright, so we're going to pull off, let me say, 4 stalks, 5 stalks. They're not great looking. Whew, and the onion is making my eyes water. So I cut off the top ends. We're going to cut off the bottom ends. And we're going to cut these guys up. Not being too picky about it. Okay, so there's the celery. And next, we're going to cut the bok choy, because really, that's the last thing that has to be cut, except for the green onions as toppers. And this looked absolutely perfect yesterday. I was talking to the lady in the Chamber of Commerce. She said she buys her produce in West Yellowstone every day because it seems to go bad within a day. And I had thought about waiting to get to this, but then I decided, no, first of all, I really don't want to waste it. But I thought that the price was not terrible for this whole package. 3 heads of bok choy were $3.99. So, you know, in the grand scheme, it's not organic, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not terrible. So, there's that. Alright, we're going to just cut the ends off. Just like that. Actually, this is going to go a little bit deeper. This all dirt I'm going to have to wipe up. No, it's just kind of very dark looking bok choy. Just in case, I'm going to cut that part off. Just threw my tray on the floor. That was not awesome, because that's where I'm going to put this stuff. and I'm going to kind of separate it into two piles, mostly leaves and mostly not leaves, because the mostly leaves part I will save until the end, and the not leaves part I'll put in with the rest of the vegetables and let them get tender. Does that make sense? I am really curious what you guys think about this recipe. First of all, what do you think of the idea of fish curry? Good idea? Bad idea? What do you think of the idea of curry in general? A lot of people just don't like it. I do. Now that looks better. And actually I can leave my not leaves just here on the cutting board with the rest of the celery and put my leaves in the tray for later. And try not to knock the tray over again, because that would be a mess at this point. In fact, I think I'm going to move it over there, out of harm's way, where I can't throw it on the floor again by hitting it with the knife. Yeah, this is another one that's got some kind of less desirable looking parts here. That's better. We'll just throw that a little bit away. That's good. That's good. Doesn't look bad when I look at them individually. That one doesn't look good. It's probably not bad, but you know, why take a chance? Smell my onions, so let's give them a stir. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. That's looking really good. And I kind of like the idea of potatoes from the standpoint of creaminess, but I've also got a lot of yogurt, so I think I'll just add yogurt to each serving as I do it. A lot of times when you put yogurt in when you're cooking, sometimes it separates and doesn't incorporate all that well. So I usually like to use it as a topping. And in this case, with the amount of spices and so forth and ginger that I'm using, I think it'll be a great addition. Alright, I'm going to have to show you after the fact because I can't possibly... I don't have any way to get the camera above the level of the Instant Pot. But let me show you. Okay, here's what our onions look like. And I'm going to put handfuls. Actually, I'm going to put all the vegetables in here. Just like this. And I need, whoops, need to get some carrots. Good thing I moved the leafy parts. And I am really not a fan of carrots, but they do add flavor to things. So we're doing it, and I'm just putting them in whole. About like that. I'm going to show you in just a second, I promise. Alright, that's what it looks like so far. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to let that saute a minute. I'm going to dump in this whole thing of ginger as I throw it on the counter. So I guess I'm going to, I did wipe off the counter, so I don't feel too bad about that. I need a paper towel now, though. Alright, so we got all the ginger in. And then, we're going to break that up a little bit. It's still semi-frozen. So, I had a lot of ginger last year, and I wasn't getting it used. I was making ginger beer most of the time, but I haven't been lately. And so I took all of my leftover ginger that I didn't want to go bad, and I ground it up in my blender, and then froze it in ice cube trays, and then wrapped those up and vacuum sealed them, and yeah, it's kept really well. Alright, so we got that going on. And then we got all our seasonings here. We're going to go ahead and dump those right in. And we're going to mix that in. And this should give us that beautiful orange curry color that we love. And next up, I'm going to get a healthy spoonful of hatch green chilies. Yeah, that'll be good. Try putting about a tablespoon, maybe 2. I think I'm going to go with 2. Put that in there. And I don't have any actual limes or lemons, so we're using the stuff in the container. That's about a tablespoon. And now we're going to stir all of this around. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Okay, so now we're going to add our tomatoes, and then we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to run this on high for, I think about 5 minutes is all it's going to need. That'll infuse the flavors, and then I can decide at the end of that if I think I want to add tomato sauce as well, which will help to thicken it up. Now, right now, this is still vegan, vegetarian, until I stick that cod in there. So, 2 cans of petite place tomatoes. And, yeah, I think it's going to be just fine without the tomato sauce. Without the tomato paste, I mean. Alright, so we're going to put the lid on. Sorry you're not getting a great view of this, guys. I'm doing the best I can under my limited circumstances on the side of the road here. Alright, that's what we look like with 2 cans of tomato sauce in. 2 cans of diced tomatoes in. And I've got my thing sitting at a very odd angle this time. We're going to do pressure cook, and we got to take this down. I think I'm going to do 5 minutes. Okay, and while that's happening, I'm going to clean up some of my mess here, and probably turn on the generator, because that's the whole point of doing this on the side of the road, so I can keep my batteries charged up. Okay, our cook time is over, and I let it natural release for about 3 minutes, mostly because I was looking at something on my phone. So now I'm pulling the plug off, and then I'm going to take it outside to release, because I don't want that mess in my house. And because I'm running my generator, I'm taking it all the way outside. And so here goes the button. Ooh, it smells good. And then once we put the fish and the greens in, and I turn it back on, I'm going to take Kit for a little walk down there where it says road closed. Yeah, I mean literally, this is the main road in Yellowstone. I'm about 2 miles away from my camp, that's it. Alright, let's get the lid off and see what it looks like. Wanted to get the cord out of the way so I don't drip on it. Oh, that's looking pretty fine, huh? Smells amazing. Now, ideally, you would want to have your cod, or whatever fish you're using, cut up into chunks. But this is still frozen, so we can't do that. So I'm going to just open the bag. And I guess I'm going to stir my greens in first. Put them all in the pot and stir near it. And I really could have waited and stirred them in at the very end, but, and as I look at this, I think I want a little more liquid, and I'm torn. I guess I should show you. I'm torn between the idea of adding a can of tomato sauce or adding a cup of water. I think I'm going to add the tomato sauce, because tomato with fish like this is really good. Now, unfortunately, I got to get out the can opener to do that, and I may still need to add a little water. We'll see in a minute. And I could add, you know, more than 1 can of tomato sauce, but I don't want to do that. Okay, so let me show you what I got. So that's 1 can of tomato sauce in, and it's still pretty thick. And I got a little bit left in the can, so I'm going to put a little water in there. Probably about half of the can. I don't want it to get too juicy, but I do want to have plenty of sauce to spoon over. I think tonight I'm having it with quinoa, and then I might make some wild rice to have with it for some other servings. We'll see. Yeah, see, I think that's a better looking consistency to me. Gonna scrape down the sides again, and then we're going to add our fish in. Which is all still completely frozen. So I guess I'm going to try 5 minutes first. And I'm kind of burying the fish under the curry sauce. And by the way, I've never made fish curry before. I'm not sure I've ever had Pacific cod before, other than, doesn't it come that way sometimes in like fish and chips or something? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a very good fish eater. And part of the reason I decided to do it this way, guys, is so that I'm not making my entire RV smell like fish. I hope. I hope. Okay, find the opening. There it is. Alright, so we plugged the Instant Pot back in, and we're going to set it for 5 more minutes, which is what it was on previously, and then that's going to do its thing. And meanwhile, Kit and I are going to go for a little walk while this does its thing. Well, I've turned off the generator, yay for that. We are at fully charged batteries. We've unplugged the Instant Pot. I'm letting it slow release, and I'm going to just put it down here on the floor in the hopes that it doesn't fall over. I don't think it will. I think it'll be okay. I'm going to drive kind of carefully. I'm going to put the cutting board back over the sink. So you won't get the big reveal until I'm ready to actually have dinner. How about that? Beep, Kit. All right, we're gonna get back to camp now. We've been here for about an hour and a half, and I'm ready to go home. So we'll fill you in when we get there. Just to get caught up on dinner with you guys, I'm back in my site where I was parked. I've released the pressure, and it didn't seem to me that the fish was really cooked. So I put it back on for another 3 minutes, let it natural release for 2 minutes after that, and then after I got back here, I just pressed the button and released it the rest of the way. So we are about to find out together whether or not our fish is done. Ready? Tell you what, it definitely smells good. Oh yeah, that feels done. Feels like we might have gotten a little stick burn on the bottom, maybe. Hard to say for sure. I'm going to just get a little taste on the edge of the spoon. That didn't quite work. Let me grab a spoon. Since that spoon has a hole in it. But I think we got a winner. That's pretty tasty. Now we'll find out whether or not I like fish curry. But in the meantime, that's what we're having. So I'll plate this up with some rice or some quinoa or something. I'm not sure which yet. And I'll share the final product with you. Unable to leave well enough alone, I decided to go ahead and make some wild rice, which I'm doing on the stovetop because I don't want to do it in the Instant Pot and run my batteries down. And I bought a sweet potato at the grocery store yesterday, and then I realized normally I would roast it in the air fryer, but I can't use the air fryer or the Instant Pot while I'm parked because it takes too much power. And in case you're not aware, while I'm camp hosting at Lewis Lake, I can't use my generator in my own campsite. So I can unpark and go down to the day use area, but I'm trying to avoid doing that. So I chopped up my sweet potato, and in about 10 minutes I'm going to add it to the wild rice and cook it with wild rice, and then that's going to be the base for my cod curry. I think it's going to be pretty delicious. Can't wait to find out, because I'm starving. But we probably got like 25 minutes before we're going to know. Hang in there. Oh, it'll be instantaneous for you, but that's okay. Okay, so here's a shot of what just the rice and sweet potato look like. And now I'm going to scoop out some curry and see if I can get a piece of fish to put on top of there as well. Let's just see. I mean, it looks and smells really good. And I don't know exactly how many pieces of fish there are, but I think I probably want, wow, this is huge. I think I want about half of that. But I got about half of that piece of cod. Let me find my spoon and get a taste. So that was just the sauce. That works pretty well together, sorry. All right, I'm starving. I'm going to sit down and eat now. Let me know what you think of this one in the comments down below. I might add some yogurt to it. Probably not tonight because that's a pretty full bowl. So I'm going to get busy eating that. I hope you enjoyed this.
Wake up with the sun in our eyes. Sally forth, no need for